Hello everyone, it's Deb's Collings back again, and today we're going to talk about relationships and how they're evolving, and if they're not, what you may need to look at or what you might need to do. Now, if you haven't seen my video, Knowing the Bigger Picture, which I will link below, I would suggest watching it because it will tell you the bigger picture of what's happening on the planet. And of course, what's happening will affect your relationships with people. Really, our life, from a quantum perspective, is one big journey of relationship. It's really a relationship with energy. Yeah, if you haven't seen the Knowing the Bigger Picture, if you can watch that, it will help you with this because I do refer to how relationships are changing. And there's two main themes of what's going on right now. One is we're cleansing, clearing, integrating wisdom from old lives, and that's across lifetimes, guys. So we're not talking about just this lifetime. That's happening for everybody on this planet right now. Um, and then the second part is we're reconnecting more consciously with our other parts of ourself, our higher self, our soul, our I am. People call the different facets of us something different, but we are connecting back to that part of ourself that carries our wisdom, etc. So, if you consider those two things that are going on, of course, that's going to affect relationships, guys. It's going to affect your marriage, your connection with your kids, etc. Because a lot of people are going through a lot. They're experiencing a lot. But we all chose to be here at this time on the planet. We're all in different, I guess you could say, a different part of that evolution, but we're still all in this together. Okay, so let me just share some things that I've noticed about relationships and how we could say they are evolving. Um, we're in the old paradigm still, in a way. We are in what we might call old earth, the old game. And we're evolving with these changes going on into the new game, the new earth. Okay, it's different. It's a different paradigm. We relate differently to people inside the paradigm. We connect with ourselves differently in this new paradigm. So basically, let me talk about how I see relationships in the old paradigm and then how they are in the new paradigm. Okay, and they're quite different. Okay, and there are people right now that are in the new paradigm relationships, including myself. There are many people that are not connecting with others unless they've done their spiritual work or they're at least on the same page spiritually right now. So, even when I consider back 20 years ago and when I consider now, people are doing relationships differently. Yeah. So the old way of being, let's talk about this, the old relationship. So in a way, those relationships, they're codependent. Okay. So people get married and they're like, you do this for me, I'll do that for you. And there are all these conditional type clauses in it. And they're unspoken, right? They're unwritten, really. They're just conditions around who each other, is inside the marriage or inside the relationship. So conditional relationships and codependence is the old way. We did it that way in the beginning. Our ancestors did it that way. You learn a lot about yourself in intimate relationships. Okay, you get to self-reflect because that other person is mirroring back to you what you might need to check in yourselves, and it's a growth process. Okay, and really, when you're in an intimate relationship, the growth is, it can be big because you know when you feel love for somebody, you often lose yourself even in that relationship. So it is a big it's a journey, and it's a big learning curve for people. Okay, but don't forget, guys, it's not just this life. We've done this hundreds of times. Okay, we've all had hundreds of lives. Okay, so that old style relationship we're phasing out of into the new style of relationship. And what I would suggest to you is um, really focus on your inward path, your inward journey, your inner life right now. Whether you're in a marriage, whatever your relationship status is, focus on yourself so that you can make sure that you are tidying your old lives up, that you are cleaning your inside world up, and that you're not projecting your issues, your imbalance onto another, whether that's your husband, wife, kids, or partner. Okay? So, really make sure that you're making your inner world your focus. Because, as I mentioned, that's the main thing going on for everybody right now. Okay? And often when we're in a relationship, these energies get crossed over. Okay, I showed that actually in my knowing the bigger picture by crossing over two circles. If you imagine you're one circle and then you overlap another circle and you colored in where the two circles were overlapped, that joint or co-energy, that codependency, those conditional energies, that's what the old relationships were built on. And so it can be seen in a visual, if you will. And you can feel it if you're in a relationship like that, because you'll feel you can't be yourself. People, the other partner might be shaming or guilting you or disrespecting you or the way you are. They may not get who you are at all, in fact. So it's going to be a big change for people coming into this new way of being in relationships. But if you focus on your world, your inner world, what you'll find is you'll line up with who you are naturally. I mean, this is a sentient process, it's happening anyway. And you won't look at the other in order to fix you up, in order for you to feel right. You don't look to another to complete you and get to know who you are. You can do that all by yourself, and then you can enjoy the company of another. Okay, so the old style of relationships are different. I mean, people often say to me, oh, I really felt in love with that person. I really felt so attracted to them. I really wanted to marry them. And when we look at it in a quantum session, often we're seeing what it was, not in all cases, but in many cases, what it was the soul was attracting you to that other soul because there was old karma, old things to resolve in that marriage or in that journey that you had in that relationship with someone. So the pull and the desires and the love in part was due to the fact that we needed to clean up our old lives with that person. And I feel this is why a lot of people divorce too, because they marry. They often don't resolve those old issues. They rise their ugly head inside the relationship, and then people separate instead of sorting it out. So I normally in quantum sessions, we look to those old relationships and whether there was any unresolved karma so we can clean that up. So it doesn't affect the next relationship that someone has. So, yeah, I'm talking from the experience of when we're working with people in sessions, and their higher self will often say, oh, you were meant to be with that person in order to close doors and to tidy things up, you know? So really reevaluate that if you're in a relationship or a marriage and recognize, wow, maybe there are things that I really need to look at or resolve with this person. So don't run away from it. Look at what you need to sort out, and it starts with you. All right. So it's very important to do that. Now, with this new paradigm, the new way of being in relationships, this is something I can speak to from my own personal experience. So for me, with my husband, we knew we had no karma. It was all about what we did in this life and how we wanted to live in this life. That was like the foundation of our relationship. Okay. So, we don't argue, we don't have niggles or dramas. We're kind of on the same page. And there are not conditional agreements we have with each other. Okay, we walk alongside each other, we enjoy the relationship, the marriage, our family life, but we don't um, have dramas or energies inside the relationship that create disharmony. It's like you're just walking on the same path. And the best way I could explain it, guys, is that you feel the common thread between you, okay? And you feel you can tell your partner, your husband and wife, anything too, because you recognize between you there's like an authenticity. There's a true sort of honesty to the relationship. And this I notice is quite different to the old paradigm, because a lot of people in their quantum sessions will often say to me, I can't talk to my partner or my husband, wife about that because they're not on the same spiritual page. They might say, oh, no, they wouldn't understand that. Well, if that's the case, then there's a lack of resonance there in some way, and that resonance has to come back in order to move into this new paradigm, because otherwise the relationship just won't last. You're on different pages. If you can't be authentic and share all facets of your life with that person. Yeah, some people may be in between those two places. Um, you will recognize, and this is happening a lot in sessions, you will recognize if you're not in a resonant relationship, or if you're not in one that's growing and evolving, where the two people are evolving individually and together you're evolving, you will find you just grow apart. You'll just find there's nowhere you connect. You'll find you've got no common interests or no common um, themes between you, and it will feel like you're on different pages. So this is all natural when you're going through an evolution, and we're on a planet in an ascension. This is natural. Relationships do change, they do evolve. Some people don't want to grow, guys. And some won't grow and won't evolve. And if you are with a soul, whether it's a husband or a wife like that, and you've done your work and they're still not doing theirs, then, it would be a time to evaluate that, right? I do feel in order to support another, first of all, please don't tell your partner what to do. Um, and because that's a recipe for disaster. You have to be the change, guys. Be the balance, be the harmony in the relationship. And one of the things that's very important is to see that other person not as an issue, but see them evolving. Hold a space for them to change. See them growing themselves, but don't tell them what to do. And especially do that if you're in a marriage, because you'll want to support that person, but without having such a hands-on sort of vocal way of doing that. And that way you're honoring that soul, okay? And they grow without you kind of yeah, having some sort of hands-on with that. It's better that they see you change, and that'll instigate change in them if they're going to change, okay? If they're not, you're going to work this out. And if they're not, guys, don't be afraid of change, because you came to the planet at a time where you knew that there was going to be change. So inside yourself, you actually have all the strength and all of the wisdom in order to start again if you need to, okay? But before you do that, make sure that you've attended to your own inner world. Make sure you've at least held a space for your partner or your husband or wife to help see them, change, because the way you see them can support them. Okay, and make sure you've actually dealt with any old karmic energy inside that relationship before you consider, breaking up. Because if you walk away and you haven't cleared that energy, that comes with you. Truly, it's because, as I mentioned, on this planet, we're sorting all of our old lives out across lifetimes. So the person you're with is likely a person that you've had old lives with. We never come to somebody completely new. And same with the kids. If you haven't watched my video, Your Children Choose You, that shares a lot more about this. Children choose their parents, and they know of the potentiality of parents splitting up if there is a different path for each parent to walk. So I always say to people, look, trust your heart with this if you're considering breaking up with your partner, because the children knew prior to their incarnation on a soul level that there was a potential for that. So don't just stay together for the children, because the children would have known this prior to their coming into their bodies. We all have um, these this information before we come in. Of course, most people forget it, but they're waking up to it now, you see. And this is where we are changing, we are evolving and growing. So yeah, anyone that you're with in a family unit right now, guys, you've probably had old lives with, and if you have any niggles with them, it's the old energy coming up, so you can sort it out once and for all in this life before we move into the new paradigm. So don't run away from it. Sort your inner world, sort out the old energies. If you need to do a quantum session inside one of those sessions, it's easy. It's easy to look at the family karma if you're talking about mum, dad, and the kids, and it's easy to look at the old karma you may have had with your partner. Because sometimes, guys, our husbands or wives have been siblings, or our mum and dad in another life. And as crackers as that sounds in our humanness, that's very, very real. Okay. And those lifetimes have both wisdom and love in them. And they also have some things that may not have been dealt with. Okay. That's the reason why you're together again. And there are karmic family relationships where you are together specifically for that purpose, which is wonderful, because once and for all you can deal with it. Okay. If you are not in that type of karmic balancing, and karma's only a balancer, guys, it's not bad, it's just balancing energy from old lives. If you're not in that though, and you are awake and aware and you've cleared your own energies, you will find that your relationships will be different with everybody, right? Your family members, and you may choose, some people are choosing to be by themselves because they're learning to be back with who they are again. They're learning, they're basically keeping their relationship with themselves, their soul, their higher self, clean and tight. And that's basically, I've mentioned this before, but this is really important to know this. All relationships on the outside are a direct reflection of the one we have with our own soul, our own higher self, our own wisdom. So some people are finding they're by themselves because they need to be, so that they can really tightly link with their own self and then establish a relationship once they've done that. Some are in marriages where they're doing it together. Some are in marriages where they're not growing. One is and one isn't. No matter what your status is, no matter where you find yourself, guys, just please make sure you do this first. Clean up your inside world. Clean up your old lives yourself. Make sure you clear karma with any of your family members. That's imperative this life. And if someone is if you're in a relationship with someone and they're not respecting you, not loving you, not realizing who you are, if you haven't got honesty in there in the relationship, or trust and all of this stuff, then it may not be long term for the future. You may need to address that and really think about it. If you stay with somebody, um, and you're staying with somebody because you fear being by yourself, then that's a, that's a reason to be by yourself, because you're depending on that other person for security. Some people are finding themselves in that situation at the moment too. So it's quite fascinating. Whatever's happening is happening for you to wake up and tighten up with your own higher self, your own soul. And yeah, the new way of being in a relationship is oh, It has no drama in it. It has honesty to it, and you grow together. You feel like you're in a team, guys. It feels good to live that way, okay? And you don't play drama games inside the relationship either. You just don't. There's no drama inside you, so why would you try and annoy another to get attention? It just doesn't make any sense. That's the old school way, okay? The old way, the old patterns. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to share this today because in the quantum sessions, I'm noticing a lot of changes for people with relationships, and it's natural that this is happening. So make sure that you are looking after your relationship with your own soul, your higher self, because truly that is the ultimate relationship. And if you're by yourself, give thanks for that time and really make sure you focus on you. And if you're in a relationship, don't lose yourself in that relationship. Maintain a sense of who you are and your own connection. Don't look to that other person to fix you, complete you, change your mode, change your mood. Don't look for someone else to do that for you, guys. You must do that inside of yourself. All right? So if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask them below. Um, and if you need to really take care of this old karma, you'll just get like a calling to do that. And it's very easy to do it inside a quantum integration session. Or if you're in a family unit and there's niggles, we do the family karma clear. All right. So guys, know I'm sending you heaps of love and support right now. Take care of yourselves. Make yourself the priority. And I know mums and dads, it's harder when you have kids, but remember, if you make yourself a priority, show your children how you're taking care of you and they'll take care of themselves. Show your partner, your husband and wife, how to take care of themselves by you modeling it to them. All right? Model the harmony, model the balance, and that will help them make their changes, because everybody's going through quite a lot at the moment and we've all got to grow. And if someone's really stubborn and doesn't grow and doesn't want to grow, maybe they need not to be with you if you're the one that's awake, because it'll wake them up. Okay. So it's not, I'm not being black and white here. I'm just saying honor your heart, honor your soul, honor yourself, and make sure you've tidied your inner world. That's the key, guys. Okay. Bye for now.